Nice and sunny here. All right, guys, I wanted to do a little bit of an overview with the market. I thought I was looking into some of the market trends and I was seeing some different things and I wanted to kind of point some of these out. So currently we have Bitfinex is the #1 trading exchange, followed by Bittrex, and Bithumb is now the #3 currency exchange. But when you come into Bitcoin, because I've just been hearing a lot of rumors with some of the circles that I've been in, that a lot of guys are trying to get into Bitcoin now. The price has really started to come up here from 11,500 earlier today. And, you know, when I was coming into the markets here and I was looking at this, one thing really stood out, and that was Bithumb's price, you know, at 13,200, whereas you saw most of the other exchanges in the 1100s. You see another one here in the 1300, which is Coin One, which is also Korea. And you see another one here that's also 1300, which is Corbid. So the top 3 exchanges in Korea are all trading Bitcoin at over $1,300 an hour. So that's pretty substantial. And I've just been, from a lot of my inner circles, there's a lot of people that are trying to put a lot of money into Bitcoin right now. I think with the anticipation of the futures market and some of the Forex-based applications that we're going to be seeing here in the coming months with cryptocurrencies, I think it's just I think we're going to see 13,000 Bitcoin here pretty soon. The market tends to follow the Korean market, and so right now what we're seeing with the Korean market is we're seeing Bitcoin trading really high at 13,200, 13,400. And I think you're going to start to see a lot of arbitrage opportunities right now, and you're going to see money start to flow into some of those markets. So you're seeing it already kind of take off here recently. So I think we're going to see another price rise with Bitcoin, and followed by probably some correction with some of the other coins we saw. I would imagine IOTA might be one of those. IOTA's been on pretty much a huge tear right now, and if we see a huge surge with the price of Bitcoin, it might come down substantially, and that might actually be a great time to get in to IOTA, depending on kind of how the market shapes out. So I'm gonna go ahead and check in with the chat here a little bit, get out of the sun. Oops. Crypto Chihulu, you gotta remind me how to pronounce that. I'm terrible with those. Yeah, buy and hold. Yeah, so right now, Bitcoin, number one exchange being traded. Yeah, my dog's doing all right. She's having a few health problems. We have to get her diabetic thermometer, basically test her blood sugar. But she's doing a little bit better. IOTA trading pretty heavily. As we saw, it's really come up in price quite a bit. Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Tether in the top 5. So just kind of looking through those, you know, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, a lot of these are doing pretty decent amount of volume, but it's really just kind of headed by Bitcoin. And I think we're going to see, I think if we can come into the volumes, I'll do this here a little bit. So if we come into some of these charting figures, I want to look at the last 7 days. Remain pretty steady. Okay. So the volumes with Bitcoin, at least in the last day or so, so this is just the last day of the volume comparison, you know, we had about 55% in Bitcoin, whereas we're currently still at about those figures. And with all of these different figures, that's pretty much what we're seeing. If we zoom back 7 days, we're kind of seeing the same thing with a little bit of a dip earlier. Before that, if we come back another month, you can see a little bit more volatility with that huge surge in Bitcoin Cash that we saw earlier in November. So those are some interesting trends that I kind of wanted to show, but I think right now what I'm seeing is a lot of people getting into Bitcoin in the Korean market. It's the most widely traded pair in all three. I'll show you that here. Bring up the exchanges. So here we have Corbett. Now volumes have come down a lot, but Bitcoin is the #1 traded pair, followed by Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum. We come up the list a little bit more, and we see Coin 1. Again, we have Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. This one is Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. We're being traded pretty heavily in those. And so I would kind of ignore right now where the volumes are because this is going to change, I would imagine, here very soon, as these three exchanges have been in the top 5 pretty consistent over the past probably about 3 months or so. They've been really up there in terms of volume, and we're seeing just a trend here with Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and this one is a little bit interesting. We're seeing more Monero being traded, and that was the top currency being traded in Bittrex right now is Monero. So Monero, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, these are going to be the ones that you're going to probably want to look at right now. And then also keeping an eye on IOTA. IOTA's been a really interesting trend. What's going on Adventures in Bitcoin? Clean that damn screen. Yeah, the sun, it brings out all the imperfections. It's tend to glare. Based on BTC beating your best guess, earning 1% gains a day and surpassed lately, still best guessing same price for end of January. We could see a little bit of a correction, and that was kind of one of the things I theorized, is that it may come up, and if we see a pretty big surge in price, we might see a little bit of a correction where that kind of balances out in the alt currency markets. I was predicting 12,400. I think we're going to surpass that quite a bit, just with the stuff that's coming out here. So once it hasn't hit 1,300 is kind of like the benchmark in American markets, where people are on social media saying, hey, Bitcoin's 1,300. It hasn't hit that yet, but it has in Korea, and the volume's not there right now. But what's going on, Cali Coins? BCC to hit 400 by the end of the year. Yeah, I think that's really possible. I was kind of predicting that we were going to see it come up. It tends to come up fairly steadily, with the exception of a few flash crashes, and that is part of some different things that the BitConnect exchange is working with some of their circuit breakers that they have in there. They've had those in since September, August. But I think we're going to see. I would imagine we'd see a pretty steady price. It'd be really interesting to see what happens with Bitcoin though here. What's going on, Joey Rocket, Kyle Palmer, Big Mike, Crooklyn Cat? IOTA and Komodo will kill this year. Yeah, Komodo actually is a really interesting one. Let's take a look at that. That was trading really heavily earlier before, and I saw some things where people were predicting it was going to be a top 5 currency, which was pretty interesting. Sorry guys, let's bring this up here. Yeah, let's bring this up. I'll show it. Let's switch this around. Komodo, currently at 350. It's got a $350 million market cap. And as far as the charts that we've been seeing a little bit of a rise in the volumes here. It's got a pretty good distribution with some of the different exchanges. It's in some decent exchanges here, and I think that was one thing that we were seeing was the last 7 days. You can see a little bit of a trend here where it's seeing a lot more volume. Let's look over the last month. Yeah, there's a little bit of a glare on here. I got like some cat hair on here and stuff. Sorry about that, guys. On the road, I gotta do what I can do. So yeah, there was a significant volume in earlier November. It came down a little bit. The price was stabilizing. Saw a little bit more volume come in the market, and boom, you saw prices really come up. There was a lot of a correction here, and without any volume right here, the price really started to trend up. And I think that was because we were seeing price points right in this general area right here. I started to correct, and now volumes have come into the market, and you're seeing a price surge. So I would just keep an eye on these volumes. If they start to dip, then you're probably going to want to get out. And so that's kind of one of the things with these types of kind of smaller market coins, is that you tend to have to watch them more, because if you don't, you can get burned real fast. So some of the larger market cap coins, you don't see huge price swings, whereas some of the smaller market cap coins, you will. So they're a little bit more high risk in that sense, but I think that would be a great one to get into. So I'm on a new iPhone X. I'm still trying to learn all the new ins and outs with this phone. And my WhatsApp is all screwed up now. DMT is all fun without the hangover and shit when drinking. It's really spiritual. I like it more and more. The trip is amazing. Yeah. Yeah, it's it allows you really to get some more kind of deeper insights to yourself, your surroundings, you know, you're kind of losing your ego. Clover, are you still reinvesting into BCC? I'm holding BCC right now. I think it's a good hold. I think it's gonna, you know, I had a capital release of $20,000, and I got in like around the blockchain event when it was like 270, and and at that time there was a lot of questions about the price seemed really low in comparison to Bitcoin, and sure enough, you started to see the price really come up. So I got in at like 270 with my capital release, and it's come all the way up to 330. And so I'm still holding, and I'm going to see kind of where it's gone, because the blockchain event was just last week, you know, so the prices have come up quite a bit. And I think a lot of people, if you're seeing prices kind of start to stabilize in certain areas, but if you look over the course of last week, we've seen a really progressive trend in the upward direction. So if you're holding, that's really good. Got Salt during pre-membership for 150. Never looked bad. Yeah, Salt I think is a good one. Again, it's a smaller market cap coin, so Glenn will have a passport of another country in case this shit hits the fan. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a strategy, is to renounce your passport and having essentially a portfolio of passports in other countries. Some are harder to get than others. I mean, again, this is not necessarily like Glenn trying to do something immoral. This is advice that he's been given by the Nomad Capitalist. Andrew, you can check him out on YouTube. Really smart guy. He's actually living in Cambodia right now. So, you know, I'm considering doing the same thing. You know, they just are now putting a bill through Congress trying to make, you know, disclosing digital assets, you know, illegal. So you're going to see a huge crackdown with governments, and you know, I'm kind of saying goodbye to America if that's the case, because there's a lot of money in America, and when it comes to the legal side of things get crazy. So you know, we're looking into our best interests. I mean, we'll visit America, but I mean, if they're really going to go through with some of of this. It's hard to say how the U.S. is going to crack down on certain things, and so it's best to just, in my opinion, just distance yourself from it. And so that's going to be a big thing I'm kind of looking into, and Glenn's looking into it too. You're seeing a lot of other crypto people that are getting into crypto are thinking the same way. It's smart to have dual citizenship in any case. I have mine in Chile and the U.S. Yeah. I mean, there's certain places you can go where, you know, you can buy property, you can, you know, make an investment, you can do certain things to get passports. It won't get you into all of the different countries. You might have different visa requirements, but that's where they kind of advise having essentially a portfolio of passports and being a world citizen. Komodo decreed Vercoin all going to destroy this year, especially all the privacy coins. Yep. How do you guys like this beat in the background? I love this song. No Limit by G-Eazy. I hope they don't give me a strike, but I think the instrumental's okay. There's at least one country selling citizenship for BTC. Yeah, buy a passport with Bitcoin. Oh man, that's funny. I like EOS. Yeah, I think that's a good one. If people are making money in the US, that means the economy is going to bloom. Why prevent something like that from happening? Yeah, it's a different kind of economy, and it's one that's very anti banks and establishments that want to control the money supply. What about people that have offshore accounts? Couldn't crypto be like that? Yeah, I mean, it's essentially, you know, the same thing. You know, you're seeing different banking strategies. There's you know, a lot of different ways to kind of interpret the regulations and things like that, and being in compliance with the law when it comes to moving, you know, large amounts of money around, and, you know, kind of having bank accounts and offshore accounts is going to be you know, the way to go. Best crypto-friendly countries at this point. Been contemplating things as well. So I'm thinking actually Cambodia. That was a really big one on Nomad Capitalist. He did a video on that not too long ago where he was very high on Cambodia. You can essentially come in and you can get like a business visa. It's very easy to get, very cheap. They seem to be less controlling. The Vietnam community, the Vietnam community is and their government is much more one of control. I don't know enough about Cambodia. I haven't been to the country, but I'm interested in it. I know certain other countries might be a good one. Like I think Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur would be another good spot in that Southeastern Asian vicinity. But you know, Korea has been really the one where the volume has been at lately. So I think that's where we're seeing a lot of growth and development because of the amount of activity, the trading activity that we're seeing over there. How about Mexico? Yeah. Some of the guys I'm working with are in Nicaragua. Belize is another consideration. I think Belize and Nicaragua would be better than Mexico. But I'm not probably the one to ask on that, but it's an interesting topic conversation. Mexico is too corrupt and dangerous. Any other countries come to mind? Yeah, India is one that is a big one that I'm interested in. I think there might be some other of the smaller countries in Russia. It might be, I think, good ones as well. I think it would be very supportive, but cheap electricity for mining operations is kind of another one, if that's something that it's going to be driving some of the technologies that we're going to see in the future. Because I think what we're seeing from the backbone of some of these coins and structures, it's based on it's based on mining, which is very resource intensive, and so that's a big consideration. That's why I've been really high on mining in Eastern Washington, especially for some more of the ones, because Bitcoin's going to be very resource intensive. Perhaps some of these other technologies won't be. I think there's some areas of the world that would be very good places where you can get cheap electricity and set up essentially some of your technology there, if that's going to help you cut costs to kind of support the technology that you're building, if that makes sense. China is a good option. Well, China is communist, so they're going to want to control everything. So it's good because you get numbers over there until it hits a certain point, and I think that's why you're seeing some people get out. I don't know. I mean, Hong Kong, is going to be is going to be a big one. I just don't know enough about the market. I've never been to China, never been to Hong Kong. I've got some big connections though. I'm looking forward to making a trip there. Yeah, well, Singapore is the English-speaking oasis of the Asia. It's the only country in Asia where it's kind of majority spoken language is English. Philippines might be one of the next closest ones because it's very widely spoken there of all the countries that I've been to. So I think for me, like, Singapore seems like a really good option in terms of banking, tax situations if you're going to set up an office of something like that. But I think part of it is also looking into other factors, like if you're trying to scale. I'm not sure if Singapore is going to be the right place to do that. So that's another consideration if you wanted to grow a little bit easier. It might be a better place than somewhere that's a little bit where the cost of living isn't so high. It's super expensive in Singapore, and eating is another, like, eating healthy in Singapore is expensive. So that was something I kind of noticed. But let me check back in here. Dubai, yeah, Dubai might be another cool one. Never been, so I'm going to be going there real soon. Just so, Joey Rocket, I'm actually heading to Phoenix Thursday. I'm going to be there until Sunday, so we'll have to link up. I think my WhatsApp changed, so I'm going to have to send you a message. But yeah, I'm going to Phoenix until Sunday, and then from Sunday I'm going to LA. And when I'm in LA, I'm looking to network with a couple of people, so I'll be there until Wednesday until I go to Dubai. And then from Dubai, I'm planning on going to India, Pakistan, and then ending up eventually in Korea. What's up, Crypto Dance? you think the USA will ban Bitcoin one day like China did in September? And what do you think about some of the top economists saying Bitcoin will bust at some point? Well, I think a lot of the top economists just don't have an understanding of the market or don't watch it at all and are just looking at it as a speculative bubble. I think they're really just coming from an uneducated standpoint. I mean, they don't they're also looking at it from an American's perspective and possibly looking at the American exchanges. I mean, they're not even getting to a point where they're looking at this on an international level. I mean, this is exploding in Asia. Like, you can't ignore it and say it's a bubble. I mean, it hasn't even hit America yet. So that's you know, that's what we're going to see here pretty soon, with a lot of people looking at this as a huge opportunity to make money. What's going on, Alan? Corey? All right, I'm gonna stay on for a little bit longer, maybe another 5 minutes or so. Probably cut it at around half hour. I got a lot of stuff I gotta do. I got a lot of little stuff to do. I need an assistant, help me out, help me take care of some of this stuff. I've got a bunch of tasks, and I gotta send out faxes and do all kinds of stuff because I'm gonna have to travel here pretty soon. Will USA ban Bitcoin one day? Your thoughts? Well, it looks like what they're going to try to do is they're not going to ban it. They're just going to ban not disclosing it. It looks like that's the bill that they're trying to push through Congress. Whether or not that passes or not is another kind of another topic of discussion. But it's it looks like that's the direction that they're going to be trying to head, is that you can't disclose this. But I mean, that's why the government's going to put up a fence. People are just going to go around. I mean, you got to get into privacy coins, and that's why you're seeing Monero explode right now. You're seeing all of these other coins doing really well. So the government is I actually worked for the federal government for like 3 months. I worked at the place called the Locks in Seattle. So I was a lock operator. I let boats, so the locking chamber in Seattle, there's the freshwater and the saltwater. And so there's a channel that fills up with water that lets boats pass between the freshwater and the saltwater. So I worked for the federal government for 3 months, and I got a sense of kind of how things work. I mean, there's insane amounts of paperwork and all these different processes. Nothing's efficient. Everything takes forever. You really have to have just a very, very high level of patience when you're working there. So, I mean, I kind of extrapolate that to everything. They're gonna come in at one level, and I mean, if you're smart, you'll know how to get around that. They just want their taxes. Yep. Steve, what's up? It's great meeting you guys at the Blockchain Expo. Yeah, great meeting you too. Glad to have you on. Alan says he's talking to a CPA today. Passed on what he found out. Good. Would love to hear it. Yeah, that's an interesting. That's something I'm very interested in. What would Bitcoin be any different than cash? Many people in the service industry do not claim all the cash tips. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to kind of look at it like that. So, I mean, I think what's ultimately going to end up happening is people are going to put up, a fence and say, you can't do this, and you'll just have to be like, okay, I'm going to do this. And if you do that, it's probably the best strategy anyways, because that's probably what's going to make you the most money. I mean, for instance, when they were really trying to clamp down on WikiLeaks, they tried everything they possibly could to make sure that WikiLeaks couldn't pay for things and couldn't transact just about every single way possible. So they went into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and made a ton of money, you know. And so that's ultimately, I think if you're going to push people in those directions, that's going to be the direction you're going to want to go anyways. So that's why you see some of these. Monero's up 22%. It's #1 currency being traded in Bittrex. This was right after this news came out. So, I mean, you know, you see a lot of people saying, you know, good luck to Bitcoin, I'm in Monero now. Would it be harder to exchange it to fiat currency if the government bans it? Well, if governments ban it, yeah, sure. There's going to be some different ways of transacting. I mean, the government's not going to ban it per se, at least here. They're just going to ban not disclosing it. You know, whether or not they moved in a more aggressive direction is, you know, a whole nother topic conversation. But this is not something you can control. There's always going to be a way around it. It's as simple as you could possibly make it. Give me your address. Give you, you know, type in the amounts. Boom, send, done. There's going to be a way around it. You know, this is the banks really, you know, grasping for control, and you're going to see you're just going to see things change. Enforcement of all these topics is a ways off yet. Yeah. All right, guys, I think I'm going to end the stream right there. Thanks for staying on. Appreciate it. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.